You've carried them your whole life and never thought about them. The little loops and swirls on your fingertips, they look decorative, pointless almost, but that pattern is one of the strangest survival tools evolution ever built, and it was hiding in plain sight on your own hands. Look down for a second. Really look. Those ridges are completely unique to you. Not one other person who has ever lived shared the exact pattern on your thumb. Not your parents, not even an identical twin with the exact same DNA as you. And yet, every human has them. Every culture, every era, going back long before we were even us. That's the first strange thing. If your fingerprints were written purely in your genes, twins would share them. They don't. The pattern forms in the womb as the tiny developing fingers fold and buckle under pressure, pressing against the womb, against other fingers, against itself. Same blueprint, slightly different conditions, completely different result. Your fingerprint is part genetics, part accident, a signature nobody designed. So here's the question almost nobody asks. Why? Why would evolution bother carving a tiny, intricate maze on the tip of every finger? It costs energy to build. It shows up before you're even born. Nature doesn't usually keep something that detailed around for no reason. For almost 100 years, we thought we had the answer, and the answer felt obvious. Grip. It makes sense, right? Look at a car tire. Look at the sole of a hiking boot. We carve grooves into things we want to hold the ground, so your fingertips must work the same way. The ridges dig in, they catch the surface, they help you hold on. Simple, clean, taught in classrooms for decades. There was just one problem. When scientists finally tested it directly in a lab, it didn't hold up. A team of researchers built a setup to measure exactly how much friction human fingertips create against a smooth surface. If the grip idea were true, the ridges should increase the contact, increase the friction, help you hold on harder. Instead, they found the opposite of what everyone expected. The ridges actually reduced the contact area. Think about it. A flat, smooth pad of skin touches a surface completely, but a ridged surface only touches at the peaks of the ridges. The valleys between them touch nothing at all. So in pure friction terms, fingerprints don't grip better. In some cases, they grip slightly worse. Let that sit for a moment. The single most famous explanation for fingerprints, the one almost all of us were taught, might be wrong. So if it's not about holding on, what is it for? And this is where the story gets strange, because the answer might not be in your hands at all. It might be in your brain. Your fingertips are one of the most sensitive surfaces on your entire body. Packed underneath that skin are thousands of tiny sensors, nerve endings that fire when the skin is bumped, stretched, or vibrated. They are how you feel the world in detail. Now here's the part that changes everything. When you drag your finger across a surface, fabric, wood, stone, skin, the ridges catch and release hundreds of times a second. They turn a smooth slide into a rhythm, a vibration. And those sensors deep in your skin are tuned almost perfectly to pick up that exact kind of vibration. So the ridges aren't there to grip the world, they're there to feel it. They take tiny differences in texture, differences so small your eyes could never see them, and amplify them into signals your brain can read. Run your thumb across a page, and you can feel a single hair lying on it. Brush a tabletop, and you'll know in an instant if it's dusty. That impossible sensitivity isn't your skin alone. It's the ridges turning texture into music your nerves can hear. And the numbers behind this are almost hard to believe. Your fingertips can detect a bump on a smooth surface smaller than the width of a hair. Some studies suggest that if your fingertip were blown up to the size of the entire Earth, you could feel the difference between a house and a car rolling by underneath. That is the resolution evolution built into the tip of your finger. But here's the strange part. The ridges do something else too, something you've probably noticed your whole life and never questioned. Have you ever wondered why your fingers wrinkle in the bath?
For years, people assumed it was just water soaking in, swelling the skin. But that's not it either. The wrinkling is controlled by your nervous system. Your body does it on purpose. And when researchers looked closely, they found those wrinkles form a pattern, little channels like the tread on a wet weather tire, channels that let water escape from under your fingertip. So when your hands are wet, your skin reshapes itself to push the water out of the way and keep you in contact with whatever you're holding. And it's not random either. The wrinkles form the same pattern on the same finger every single time. A built-in system, waiting for water. Dry hands feel, wet hands adapt. And suddenly, all of this stops being a story about a pattern on your skin and starts being a story about survival. Picture one of your ancestors, hundreds of thousands of years ago. No tools yet beyond stone and stick, no language for most of it, just a body in a world that did not care whether they lived or died. Their hands were everything. Every meal depended on them, stripping bark, digging roots, cracking shells, picking through leaves for the one berry that wouldn't make them sick, feeling for ripeness, for rot, for the faint difference between food and poison, in the dark by touch alone. A hand that could feel more, could find more, in a body that could find more, lived. Now add water, rain, a river crossing, a wet stone clutched while climbing, slick fish pulled from a stream. The animal that kept its grip when its hands were soaked was the animal that didn't fall, didn't starve, didn't lose the catch. And then came tools. The moment our ancestors began to shape stone, everything depended on their hands even more. Feeling the grain of the rock, judging where it would break, holding a sharp edge steady, in the wet, without slipping. The better the hands could feel and hold, the better the tools. And better tools changed everything that came after. These weren't dramatic advantages. No single ridge saved anyone's life in one heroic moment. But evolution doesn't work in heroic moments. It works in tiny margins, repeated across thousands of generations. A slightly better sense of touch, a slightly more secure grip in the rain, a fraction more food, a fraction fewer falls. Multiply that by 1,000,000 ordinary days, and you get us. And it goes deeper than survival, because that same sensitivity is woven into how it feels to be human. Think about the things your fingertips know, the texture of a loved one's hand, the page of an old book, the warmth of a mug on a cold morning, the face of someone you love in the dark. We tend to think of touch as simple, the least impressive sense, but it might be the most intimate one we have. It's often the first sense we develop and the last one we lose. And it runs through those ridges, the same ones that helped a hungry ancestor find food 100,000 years ago. So look down at your fingertip again. That pattern was never decoration. It was never really about holding on. It's an instrument, built to feel the world in impossible detail, to hold steady in the rain, to turn the texture of everything around you into something your brain can understand. It's a survival tool, so quiet, so constant, that you forgot it was even there. You've been carrying it your whole life. And now, every time you run your thumb across a surface and feel that rush of detail, you'll know exactly what you're feeling. Not just the world, but 100,000 years of staying alive, written into the tips of your fingers.